Hi guys, my name is Julia, and I am now 17 years old. Want to hear a story of true despair? Then I will simply tell you about my life. I have lost a lot and haven't gained anything in return. The last hope that I have left is to try to take my life into my own hands, but I don't know if I have enough strength for this. My first loss happened within a few minutes after my birth. My mother suddenly faded away. The doctors did not have time to take control of the situation, and she passed away. So I don't know much about maternal love. My father did not try to replace her for me, and not even because it was impossible. For him, the loss of his wife was a big blow. He started to experience heart problems, even though he was not even 40 years old back then. And even worse, he didn't pay attention to those problems. However, when I was almost 10 years old, he seemed to wake up, and suddenly he made a firm decision to find a stepmother for his daughter, that is, me, so that I would grow up in a real family, a big and friendly one. My dad was a handsome man and pretty wealthy. He owned a large and successful pizzeria, and we lived in a big, beautiful house. In general, from the point of view of the quietly aging housewives dwelling in the neighborhood, my dad was a very attractive catch. But in some evil twist of fate, among all the available candidates, my father chose Emma, the woman who would soon turn my life into a living hell. Emma was an ordinary middle-aged divorced woman, and she had 2 daughters from her first marriage, Mia, who was 1 year older than me, and Amanda, who was 2 years younger than me. And altogether, we had to form the very family, large and happy, my father had dreamed about. I don't know if it was possible, but for some time, for 3 years I think, we lived peacefully. Until my father died from a heart attack. Dad was only 51, and I was 13 when I became a total orphan. It was natural that social services showed no interest in me. I had a stepmother, and on top of that, Emma remained a very wealthy widow. My dad did not leave any will, and Emma turned out to be the heiress of both our home and my father's business. Almost right after my father's funeral, Emma began to clean out our house. First of all, she took away every picture of my mother that she could find. I tried to protest, so then Emma allowed me to keep one picture of my mother on the nightstand in my room. In my new room. Before my father's death, Mia and Amanda shared one bedroom on the 2nd floor, and the other was solely mine. Now Emma gave my bedroom to Amanda, and I was moved to a room on the 1st floor. It was next to the kitchen, and until now, we used it as a pantry. I was shocked, but I had no idea how to confront Emma, and besides, I had no moral strength for it. And that was just the beginning. As soon as Emma received all the documents for the house and pizzeria, both she and her daughters changed. I had never been close to Mia and Amanda before, but now they began to openly show their negative attitude towards me. They taunted me, they made mean jokes about me and pranked me. They hated me, and I absolutely did not understand why. My stepmother also became very strict with me. She put all the housework on my shoulders. I had to cook, clean the house, and take care of the garden and the pets of my stepsisters. But the worst part was that I had to look after my stepsisters myself, and they did nothing at all. Emma completely spared them from any work and did not even try to hide the unequal treatment of her biological children from me. Any whims that Mia and Amanda had were fulfilled right there. Well, I didn't even get pocket money. For Mia and Amanda, Emma bought expensive gadgets, branded pieces of clothing and jewelry. But I could not even get money from her for a new cell phone when I accidentally broke the screen on my old one. I turned into a slave in my own home, deeply unhappy without any rights and with all the chores on my shoulders. Therefore, when I got a little older and my stepmother decided that I should work in my father's pizzeria, I was almost happy. It was a way to at least get some money. In addition, working in a pizzeria allowed me to spend less time at home, where I had to serve my sisters. Amanda was homeschooled. It was her desire not to go to school. So she had the whole day to come up with new ways of tormenting me. Speaking of education, Mia went to an expensive private school, And I, of course, attended the most ordinary one. I had no doubt that Mia could choose any school. Emma would have paid for anything she wanted. And I barely had any hope that I could continue my education after high school. I couldn't pay for myself, and I literally had no time to study for a scholarship. Now, I hope you can imagine what my life was like until recently. I lived in a world of despair and hopelessness. But not very long ago, a ray of light appeared in my life, dispelling the darkness around me. And the name of this ray was Bill. I met him while walking around the city. It was a rare case when my stepmother and stepsisters left me alone. Well, they were somewhere until the late evening. Bill sat on the sidewalk in the middle of downtown, played his guitar, and sang. He looked so free. And his singing was good. When he finished his performance, I walked over and threw my last $5 into his cap. He smiled at me and started a conversation. We spent the rest of the day together. Bill walked me to my house, promised to call the next day, and kissed me goodbye on the cheek. Then I realized that from that moment, we had become a couple, and that I seemed to have fallen in love with him. It was such a pleasant and inspiring feeling that it made me forget about my hardships. And I did not pay any attention to the fact that Mia was watching me and Bill from the window of her bedroom. Although I totally noticed her. I am not sure, but I think that I even saucily waved to Mia before heading into my pantry bedroom. My relationship with Bill gave me strength and self-confidence. Or maybe I just felt happy. And so the world began to seem better than it was to me. In any case, my stepsisters could not help but notice that I began to smile more often. That I reacted to all their whims much more calmly. And that it was becoming increasingly difficult for them to hurt me. It was probably my mistake. I had to hide even the slightest glimpse of something good in my life from them. I had to foresee that their evil souls could not bear my happiness. I had a special task at home, among all the others. It was to clean my stepmother's jewelry approximately every 3 months. Emma was no fool in financial matters. Things went well in the pizzeria, so she could afford some expensive things. And my stepmother loved to give herself little presents. She didn't just buy any ordinary jewelry, but branded silver Tiffany pendants. And she even got herself a special velvet pillow for storing her charms. Usually it stayed in a safe, and she was the only one who knew the code to it. But on the day when I was supposed to do her jewelry, this pillow was taken out of the safe. When I completed my work, left the clean silver in Emma's bedroom, and went downstairs to make dinner, I suddenly heard angry cries from upstairs. Right after that, Emma came running downstairs, grabbed me by the hands, and dragged me to her room. There, she literally pushed my nose into the pillow. One pendant was missing, one of the most expensive ones. I know that its price was about $4,000. Emma started yelling at me and demanding that I return the pendant to its place, but I had no idea where it was. I was absolutely sure that I did everything as usual and put it in its place. I began to inspect the floor in hopes that the pendant had just fallen, but it was gone. Emma did not believe me. She called me ungrateful trash and said that I had to return her pendant to her within 2 days. Otherwise, she would make me really sorry. I felt like I had been hit with something heavy. My head was spinning. I was completely lost. Where can I get $4,000? I went into the living room, sat on the sofa, and burst into tears. Then Mia and Amanda appeared and said something nasty to me, but I didn't even understand what they were talking about. I looked into their faces and immediately realized that they had framed me. My stepsisters looked extremely content and did not even try to hide it from me. I blamed them for this, and then I received an unexpected response from Mia. You are dating a rich guy, so why don't you ask him for money? Don't say that you didn't know that his father was the director of my private school, you fool. It turned out that Mia was not just spying on me that evening. She knew who Bill was because she was studying at the same school as him. I immediately ran out of the house, called Bill, and asked him to meet me. At that moment, I didn't care why he hid that he was from a wealthy family from me. I had serious problems, and I hoped that my beloved boyfriend would help me with them. Bill was frightened by my voice and immediately rushed to me, But when he found out that I needed money, he pulled away from me and said with some bitterness, "Julie, I thought you weren't like that. Do you really just need money from me too?" And with these words, Bill left, leaving me not only in despair but in utter shock. I still did not fully understand why he did this. Apparently, Mia not only knew Bill, but also some story from his life that I did not know about. By the way, after 2 days of tormenting me, Mia confessed to Emma during breakfast that she took her pendant to put on and go to a party, and that she simply forgot to tell her. Of course, Mia got no punishment from Emma, and of course, no one apologized. But this story was the last straw for me. I decided that as soon as I turn 18 and finish school, I will leave this house, even if I have to leave my father's house and pizzeria in the hands of Emma and her mean daughters. Nothing is worth this amount of suffering. I'd really appreciate any words of support from you down in the comments to this video, and please feel free to share my story with anyone you'd